The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs. Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Windham, New Hampshire and Park Place Lanes, and another full day, 2 hours of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We started off semifinal week with mixed doubles, our special annual series, and we got two teams ready to go here.
Right, and still trying to make it two in a row with somebody. And this week, Bob Mazur and Marlene Brodeur will be with us, and of course, Bob has been with us before. Marlene, first appearance is maybe second appearance with us.
Yep.
So it should be an interesting matchup.
All right, let's meet our bowlers. First of all, our returning champions from last week, our number 3 seeded team. They rolled a 383 on last week's program. From Goffstown, New Hampshire, John Maffeo, and his partner from Derry, New Hampshire, Louise Hamilton.
Okay, John comes in averaging 125, and his roll-off score, as I mentioned last week, 623. Louise Hamilton averaging 116, and her roll-off score is 614.
And again, last week's score for the team, a 383 in their win over Dennis Shute and Dottie Lark. So Maffeo and Hamilton will try and make it 2 in a row, and they will face our number 2 seeded team for this series. From Dover, New Hampshire, Bob Mazur, and Bob's partner from Bow, New Hampshire, is Marlene Brodeur.
Okay, and Bob come in averaging 122 and 652 his roll-off score. Marlene Brodeur 104 and 593 for her roll-off score.
All right, we'll have the bonus ball contest also at the end of the show. That'll be good for $80. Hopefully we'll be able to give that away. Maybe some new bowling balls as well. We've got money on the line, of course, for the bowlers, and we've got 3 strings of Candlepin bowling coming up. We're going to get it started, these two teams, right after we take this time out. Don't go away. We have reached semifinal week here on Stars and Strikes, our mixed doubles series annual event, and we're left with the top 3 teams. It'll be Maffeo and Hamilton against Mazur and Brodeur this afternoon. The winners of this match will advance to the finals, and that'll be next Sunday at 12 noon. Mike Sargent and Vi Byron will be the top-seeded team to face the survivors of this match, and John Maffeo will get us started with his partner, Louise Hamilton. They have won 1 match already, and Dan mentioned, trying to make it 2 wins in a row, which all of a sudden 2 wins in a row seem to be hard to come by here on Stars and Strikes on either show.
Well, 1-2-4 left for John, and as they say, we're underway.
We're underway, and I want to take care of some unfinished business before we go too much farther. John and his wife Janet live up in Goffstown. They have 3 children, John the third, Michelle, and Paul. And Michelle is here watching her father bowl, and she insisted that I mention her name on TV, and I neglected to do so last week, so I wanted to make sure I got it out of the way quickly here. And there's a strike for Dad in box number 2.
So now she will continually cheer for her dad. Otherwise, she was going to boycott this show.
Big strike in the second, and now Bob Mazur.
Cluster of 4, 3, 5, 6, and 10 left for Bob. Bob does most of his bowling at the Lamprey Lanes in Newmarket, that close to a spare.
Bob, like John Maffeo, has been making a habit of appearing on Stars and Strikes this season and in doubles competition. Bob has made it in 2 previous series on Stars and Strikes doubles. He was teamed with Steve Tierney. They won a match before losing in the finals on one occasion, and previous to that, back in November, he was paired with Phil Clough, and they were eliminated in their first match.
5-7 left for Bob.
Overall, this will be Bob's 13th appearance here on Stars and Strikes, and for John Maffeo, it's his 14th. And
the ball gets it.
5-7. Fine shot.
I think he wanted to be a little closer to the 5-pin than he was, but the ball actually comes up and comes down on top of the 7-pin for the spare.
Louise Hamilton. Louise and John both bowled very well last week, rolling that big 383.
Well, that's the bad news, is she picked off the 10-pin. The good news is she's on a strike. So she has another ball to recover a little.
It's a 5 fill.
And a 7, 31 through 3.
Right in the pocket this time. Nice recovery, and Louise will take a crack at the 5-7 with wood.
She has a couple pieces, one behind the 5-pin and one directly in front of the 5-pin. So I dare say she's going to shoot right at the 5-pin. She's going to be to the right. Whether it be enough? No.
Nope. That'll be $9. So 40 through 4 for the team of Maffeo and Hamilton.
Now Marlene Brodeur will fill the spare put up by her partner Bob Mazur. Four horsemen to the right, 1, 3, 6, 10, and the 8-pin in the back. Piece of wood that could help her with the 8-pin behind the 1 and the 3. Oh, she kind of pushed that ball.
Marlene has been with us before, as has her husband Dan on many occasions.
A little house cleaning before she starts the second frame. A piece of wood was in the channel and ball came out, knocked some pins down, so we got to reset. Well, watch out. There goes the 5, taking a few more friends. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, and 9 pins left. Piece of wood that is going to deflect everything away from the 9. She's going to need some help.
You got it. So it'll be a 3-pin lead for the team of Mazur and Brodeur after the first 4. John Maffeo. He'll shoot at the 4 horsemen left.
Oh, it's coming back.
Sure, that'll go. Sure it will. There's never a doubt.
Well, this time he misses the object pin being the head pin, and watch, I don't know if it was a 7 pin or what, but he comes back, hits the head pin, and topples it over for the spare. Maybe 7 extra pins that I'm sure John wasn't counting on when he threw that second ball, that last box. Trying to split the 2 and the 4 this time. And it's 65 through 6.
Bob Mazur leaves a solid 4-pin.
Piece of wood out in front, that should help.
Mark it up in the 5th.
Matches that mark already placed up in the 5th frame by John Maffeo. He filled that with 7, so maintain the lead they had. He's going to have to drop down 7. He's got more than that, an 8, but it's not quite as good as it sounds because he's leaving himself the 6 and the 7 pin. A couple pieces of wood in front of the 7. That's what he'll probably have to play, see if he can get some sidewall action. I'm not sure he's even going to cover the 7, though, the way it's out in front. Yeah, that's what happened.
And it's still there for an $8.
Yeah. Maintains a lead of 4 pins. Louise Hamilton. Lane 32.
2 marks for each team so far.
1, 2, 9, 10. That's a good shot.
That is a nice shot.
Played it on the inside of the head pin. The head pin takes the 2. The ball goes down and helps clear out the 10 and then finally the 9. Now the fill.
Big one. Leaves the 5 pin.
Whoa.
Yes, snaps it forward. Had it all the way, right?
The wood's free. The wood's free. Actually, she missed it far enough to the right to kick it forward. Otherwise, a little bit farther to the left, I want to push the wood straight back and miss the 5 pin altogether. Not quite high enough. Leaves the head pin and the 7 pin left. 77 through 7, and this lead now changes hands to Maffeo and Hamilton by 7, and threatening to go higher because they already have a mark posted on the board. Well, 3-6 left for Marlene.
Throws it out there to the left and a little bit too far out. And a $10.
So it's 7 pin advantage plus this fill.
Wow. Very solid on the head pin for a 4 fill. Spread eagle.
See which side he decides to go, 3-6-10 or the 2-4-7. Yep. 2-4-7, got the 10 pin as well.
Last week, Dan, we were talking about the best 3-string totals rolled in mixed doubles competition here on Stars and Strikes, and wondering if anyone had ever rolled a 400. Actually, there have been several.
Wow, I stand corrected.
Well, it surprised me too. It had been so long ago, though. That's partly why. It was actually a couple of years ago. Kevin Davis and Carol Downey rolled a 410. To no one's surprise, who's been a regular viewer of the show, Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner rolled a 424. That was back almost 5 years ago. As John Maffeo throws the spare up in the 10th. And then even longer ago than that, about 7 years ago, we had a number of other 400s in a WCBC event that we had. And there's strike on spare in the 10th for John Maffeo for a 128 for the team. Carrying the 5 pin. Bob Mazur now in the 9th.
Off target to the left. Still looking at 7 pins.
In that WCBC event, there were 3 400 triples in mixed doubles. Rosario Lecchiara and Shelley Borowski rolled a 450, which is the highest 3-string total we've ever had in mixed doubles here. And also in that same event, a different match, Mike Poulin and Carol Downey combined for a 400. Mike Sargent and Mary Legenza combined for a 422. And of course, we'll see Mike Sargent next week.
Well, the lead is going to be in the hands of Maffeo and Hamilton, just a matter of how many now. Leading by 13. However, they have a spare strike up in the last frame.
6 marks, by the way, in the first game for the team of Maffeo and Hamilton as they get off to another quick start similar to what they had last week. That'll be a 9 for Bob Mazur, and we are through 1. The lead is 24 for Maffeo and Hamilton after 1 with 2 to come, and we'll be back with the middle game in a minute. Marlene Brodeur will lead things off in game 2.
Right through the middle.
Mentioned Marlene was with us before. Actually, it was about 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, in the spring of '88. She was paired with Al Cloutier in a mixed doubles event, and they won 3 matches before they were finally defeated.
That's a good out. $9. Find himself down by 24, though.
Mentioned Marlene and her husband Dan, both avid candlepin bowlers. Marlene works at Havenwood Heritage Heights as the resident services coordinator and does most of her bowling at, what do you know, Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord.
Great place to visit, folks, if you're in the Concord area.
We've had a lot of bowlers from your lanes lately.
Nice shot. Yes, we had a good year, really.
And a good spare for Marlene in the second. The 1, 8, 9, 10. Runs it right down.
Louise Hamilton up for her first boxes of the second game, and lost a little bit on the approach that time. Kind of stumbled a little bit.
Leaves the 1 and 3. And a $9. Now opposite the spare by Marlene Brodeur in the second. A quick reminder that in 2 weeks, of course, next week we'll have our championship match in mixed doubles, as well as a championship match on Stars and Strikes doubles in our men's doubles format. In 2 weeks, though, we will go back to our regular open singles competition at noon, and at 1, we will start a women's doubles series. Are you following all this?
Just think, I hope there's not a quiz at the end, because
oh boy.
Just really think we got it squared away. But we do know we'll be there from 12 to 2, so.
That's right. You never have to worry about that. It's just 12 to 2 every Sunday, and we'll come up with something. Just leave it to us. Bob Mazur now. He's working on a spare left by his partner.
Good break there when the 10-pin went down. It's a little light on the head pin. Gives himself a decent 7-pin drop, though. The 2, the 7, and the 8. Piece of wood in behind the 2. Another one resting against the 8-pin.
Looks like it should go, but it doesn't. Bob couldn't believe it. Saw him turn away. He thought he had it. And the 8-pin is still there.
Well, my fingers aren't working too well there.
You saw the 8-pin and you put 8.
That's right. Change that to a 9.
And
Four
Bob's
horsemen left.
sliding by the head pin that time. Runs it down. Well, that could just as easily have been 3 marks in a row for the team. Instead, it's their 4th mark overall.
It still took the ball to come off the wall to clear that 7-pin, though. With the old wooden pins, it seemed like the 4 horsemen went a lot easier than when we went to the plastic pins. I think you just get a lot of bounce off the pins instead of that domino effect. Big difference. Candlepin has changed over the years, just like every other sport. That's a mark for John Maffeo.
John Maffeo, you saw his roll-off score a minute ago, 623. As we take another look at this mark, 623 was the 5th place score. John finished 5th in the men's roll-off, so then he was paired with Louise Hamilton, who was 1st in the women's roll-off. That's how we pair the teams up, and then we add the roll-off scores, and that determines the seeding for this series.
I tell you, we got a big crowd here today. It's only a portion of that you see on camera. There's a lot of people, to our right in the back.
Ooh, John lets that slip by for a $7. So already Mazur and Brodeur have taken 3 pins off the lead, as you see, and when we come back, a chance to cut into a little bit more. We'll return in a minute. Marlene Brodeur is working on a mark that was left up in the 4th box by her partner Bob Mazur, and whatever she gets on this mark will further reduce the deficit.
Again, she's just pushing that ball out there instead of releasing it nice and smooth out of her hand, pulling it to the left. 5 4 horsemen right plus the 9 pin.
That'll be a $9.
And 59 through 5. Leading by 8 this game, but down by 16 overall. That looks a little better release. And unfortunate break when the 2-pin went down. 2, 4, 5, 7 is not bad, but the 4, 7, and 5 is kind of tough. And I don't know if the angle that wood, it's almost like you have to cap the wood in front of the 5. Well, now it's rolling out. Maybe better off trying to sweep it across, but I don't think it has the angle. Just going to give it a try, but she's too far right.
Oh, look at this. That's a cut shot, folks. For a 10. That's a very difficult shot.
It certainly is, because the 4 and the 5 are on the same plane. They're right directly across from each other. That was tough. In my wildest dreams, I've never seen that shot made that way.
Well, Louise let that one get off to the right, but it could have been worse.
My wildest dreams. Never seen it when I was awake either.
Louise Hamilton studying the 2 and the 4. A reminder that our participating sponsor in this mixed doubles series here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, the folks from Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire. Over on lane 31 now. Back in the pocket for a big strike.
Crossed over in a 1-2, but she was nice and tight. Nice and tight in the 1-2 and just tripping that 6-pin. Now Bob Mazur.
Wow.
Right through the middle. Tried to cut the 3-pin over.
Whoa, and he almost cut the 2 into the 3. On that shot, he'll take a 9. Bob has that extreme cross alley delivery. He puts the ball down right next to the channel on the right side.
And in this lane, in particular, he's right next to the ball return.
Not quite. Bob's had a little tough luck.
I'd be afraid that I'd whack the ball return on my backswing. He's always done it that way, though. Some 88 through 8. Now John Maffeo can increase the 17-pin advantage by the fill on this strike.
And he's right in the pocket, that close to a double.
He's going to have to go after this 10 pin. Wants to try to avoid the front piece of wood if he can. Boy, it's almost like a nice angle that you could play that wood below the red line. See what happens. That's exactly what he's going to do.
Spare on strike. Mark number 9 for the team. And now a chance to add to the lead. Eight more.
Well, that's an interesting one. The 4 and the 6. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe it's the 2 and the 6.
Yep.
Almost play the 6 pin off the wall. No, he's going to try to cut it over. With the wood frozen behind it, if it's just a little off center, it's going to go one way or the other. The only problem is, there it goes.
That was it.
The only problem is that you have to come back. 2 pin out, obviously he's closer pin to you, and that's what he's tried to do. And he almost did it in the second ball. The third ball he did for this 10. Great effort. Final 2 for the team of Mazur and Brodeur. Second game really needs some marks.
Just missing that head pin. And how about this for a leave? The 1, 4, 6, 7, 9. How would you play this one, Dan?
Oh, you got to go for the head pin now, no doubt.
Very close. There really is no strategy on that shot. It's just go for the head pin and hope.
Head pin and hope, right. .36 pin advantage. You really almost need a mark here. Try to cut it down under 30. Looks pretty good. 2 full, leave 2. Next week, Mike Sargent and Vi Byron. Mike Sargent from Bradford, Mass. and Vi Byron from Manchester, New Hampshire will be here. Championship week.
107, second game for the team of Mazur and Brodeur. That'll be 2-11 for 2. Louise Hamilton and John Maffeo looking for their second straight win. And Louise is going to have to look at a tough split here. The 2, 4, 6, 7. Did she get it? Yes!
Oh, there it goes.
Right around it.
Wait, when it swung over, I didn't think there's no momentum. That's possibly knocked that pin over. There's a replay. Right here, it looks like it's almost stopped. Just enough to tip it over.
Big Phil, 8. And a chance for another one.
A good chance at that. The 6-10. All kinds of lumber out in front. Another one in between.
Should have it, yep. 4 marks in the last 5 boxes for Hamilton and Maffeo.
These are 118 through 9, a 128 plus the ball. And they'll better their first string at 128 was the opening game. And more important, they'll increase their lead.
So a pretty good fill. 8 more. 136 and a 2-string total 264 for the team of John Maffeo and Louise Hamilton. They have the lead with 1 game to go. We'll be back. Well, 1 game to go, and John Maffeo and his partner Louise Hamilton have a big 53-pin lead. And they're looking for more. Spare leave on the 3-6.
.36 for John. Piece of wood out in front. Just drives it right straight through. Another mark for the team of Maffeo and Hamilton.
They're 12th. At 14 last week. 8 fill on this one. Now shooting at the 6-7 with wood. This might get interesting, depending on how that wood snaps.
We get a second piece of wood behind it, so I know he's going to go right, but I'd go left. And he'd make it, and I'd miss it.
Simple as that.
It's a similar shot that he had last week, where I'd like to shoot the inside and spin the wood away from the pin, and he likes to just push everything across the lane. So, and it works. Everything but the 5-pin.
Bob Mazur from Dover. Works for Visions Beauty Supply in Newburyport, Mass. Does a lot of his bowling at the Lamprey River Lanes in Newmarket, New Hampshire, and he's got a spare in the first also. Oh, wow.
That kind of takes the wind out of your sails. You get a mark and you hit the object pin, which is the head pin with the first ball, and you get the head pin in the 5.
And an $8, so it negates the impact of the mark. That was the 5th mark for the team of Mazur and Brodeur. Well, Louise Hamilton now working on a mark. Off target, but not too bad. 7.
1, 8, and 9. I'd like to have one of those pieces of wood flatten out a little bit. Almost looks like if she hits the head pin now, it'll move the wood away from the 8 and 9. Let's see if she can drive it straight back. Oh, she's going to miss the head pin.
She knew it. And that was the shot. The 10.
Six, 9 left.
No. Cut it too fine. And a $10. 55 through 4. The second week in a row, John and Louise have a shot at a 400 triple. But more importantly, they are comfortably in the lead.
They're cruising right now.
No, Marlene Brodeur missed the head pin on the way by and then got it coming back with a piece of wood.
I think she's going to have to go after the 6-10. So I think she goes left. She's going to leave the 8-pin.
Yep.
A little more to the right. Sweep the wood across.
$9. And there's a punch, the 1, 5, and 8. Well, coming down to our final 6 boxes, it'll be a big lead again for John Maffeo and Louise Hamilton. They won last week big, and they're in the process of doing the same here. We will take a break and come back for the end of this one in a minute. Well, John Maffeo. Once again, he and his partner have had a big day. They had a 383 last week, and it looks like they may better that this week.
Certainly looks that way. Well, not if we have anything to say about it.
John does a lot of his bowling regularly at the King Lanes in Manchester and works as a purchasing agent for Nuclear Metals Incorporated.
That's right. I always get a little heat from Danny LaRochelle. Say, you don't mention King's Lanes enough. So he bowls where, Doug?
I think it was King Lanes
King
in
Lanes.
Manchester.
Well, actually, it's Goffstown. So there you go, Dan.
Don't bother us for another year.
That's right. I don't want to hear any more about it. Of course, Danny and his father Bob are officers in the NHCBA, and they do a lot of work for us. And they are much appreciated. That'll cost you too, Dan.
Bob Mazur looking to make something happen.
Well, it's reached the point in the match now with a big lead like that where the pins usually start falling your way, and sometimes it's too late. Looking at the 1, the 7, and the 8. Piece of wood in front of the 7 and the 8, which should help. First object is to hit the head pin, though.
Nope. That time he got it. Had to work hard for it, though.
He certainly did. Let's see the replay. Didn't go as quickly as I thought it might.
It was actually the head pin that took out the 7 and the 8. And another split. Runners up in this match will take home 3rd place prize money, sharing $250. The winners, of course, move on to championship week against Mike Sargent and Vi Byron next Sunday at noon. And right now, the team of Maffeo and Hamilton in command.
4 frames remaining, a 66 pin advantage.
These will be the final 2 frames of the day for Louise Hamilton. That smooth, easy backswing generates a lot of power. Don't have to move fast, just efficiently. Now Louise generates a lot of power with her ball. It's deceivingly, actually,
Really
powerful.
Late for
Watch
that.
out. Yep.
You can almost see it. Point of release was just a little bit behind yourself. If that happens, the right-hander is going to be off to the right of your target.
Now, 2 7s and a 6 box now.
Trying to go for
Gone into the 4 corners, it looks like.
shooting for a 2 pair.
The 1, 3, 9, and 10. This is certainly makeable with all the wood in the middle.
The problem probably will be the 10 pin. The way the wood is angled. Well, let's try the 9 pin.
Nine box. Louise covers her head in the towel.
Like, did I really throw that?
Marlene Brodeur now for her final 2. Well, I dare say that Louise will get a chance to redeem herself next week if she really feels that bad about it. Because it looks like Louise and John have got this one under control. Eight box for Marlene. 64, the difference right now. Boy, Marlene and Bob have had some real ugly leaves to try and shoot at in this match.
They start off with a mark this game, but now they've had 6 open since. They'll make it 7. No, that's a good 10, though. It's a good 10.
Marlene Brodeur finishes her efforts for the day with a fine shot. And John Maffeo recovering from his back-to-back 7 boxes. Will shoot at the 2-pin for a spare, and he's got it. No chance for a 400 now, but it will still be another outstanding triple for the team. 8 on the mark. They're at 366 right now. And that mark makes 376 with a ball to come. So a chance to beat last week's score of 383. That was mark number 15. So they have 1 more mark now than last week. And the fill is 8 again, the same leave. 120 and a 3-string total 384. 1 pin better than last week.
Well, they're going up. 16 more weeks, they'll have 400. Next week, as we mentioned, Mike Sargent from Bradford, Mass, and Vi Byron from Manchester, New Hampshire will be the team, and for all the marbles, championship week in a mixed doubles format.
It'll be $800 to the winning team next week, $400 to the runners-up. And Bob works it with a 9. Beautiful pocket hit, of course, in the last frame. Shoot at the 6-pin. Of course, he's had some nice pocket hits, and nothing good has come of it. Both he and Marlene have been victims to that. Spare in the 10th.
It just couldn't seem to mount any offense, any sustained offense, really, in the whole match.
And the fill will be 7. So it'll be an even 100 in the last game and a 311 total for Bob Mazur and Marlene Brodeur. Make it 2 wins in a row for John Maffeo and Louise Hamilton. They will face Mike Sargent and Vi Byron for the championship next week, and we will have our bonus ball contest and more in a minute. And welcome back to Candlepin Stars and Strikes here at Park Place Lanes. We're running a little bit short on time, but we want to talk to all the bowlers. Let's bring up Bob Mazur and Marlene Brodeur first. Bob and Marlene will share the 3rd place prize winnings, $250, and that one's for you, Marlene, and that one's for you, Bob. Congratulations. It's been a little while since you've been here, Marlene. Good to see you back.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again, and well, you're a regular here this year.
Yeah, well, after the way I bowled today, I won't be a regular much more if I bowl like that.
Well, it seemed both of you just trouble getting the breaks. It seemed like the first ball particularly was there, but it just wasn't working.
Dead ball.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yep.
Not on the head pin at all.
Well, it happens, you know. And John and Louise have been bowling well too, and that just adds to it.
Yeah, they have. They're going to be a good matchup for the championship, and if they bowl the way they did this last match, they'll be tough to beat.
Yep.
Again, congratulations to both
Thank
of you.
you.
Good to see you again. All right, hope to see you both real soon. Bob Mazur and Marlene Brodeur. And once again, Louise Hamilton will take a shot at our bonus ball contest. We're trying to win $80 in the jackpot here and trying to win some bowling balls for one of you viewers at home and also for Louise and John. $80 in the jackpot this week, and the drop is 7. We will look for it. You might have heard Dan Murphy off camera. He thinks this is going to be a winner. And it is not, unfortunately, for James Maloney, who chose 9. James from Fitchburg, Mass. Thanks very much for your card. We'll be sending you a gift, and of course the jackpot goes up next week. Well, you haven't got this figured out yet, but you're certainly doing well enough in the matches. Another terrific one.
Thank you.
Again, the ball seemed to be working really for both of you throughout the match.
Doing well. I got a great partner. We're looking forward to Vi and Sargent next week.
That's going to be a terrific match. We're looking forward to it, too. We'll see you next Sunday, all right? Congratulations, 2 in a row for Louise Hamilton and John Maffeo. And let's look at the ladder now and set you all up for next week, as we will have John Maffeo and Louise Hamilton coming back, trying to make it 3 in a row. And they will face, Mr. Murphy, a pretty impressive-sounding team, Mike Sargent and Vi Byron in that number 1 spot.
Well, that should be a good one. I think they're going to need all of what they hit the last 2 weeks to stay in that one, so it should be a good one.
All right, we're looking forward to seeing you next Sunday at 12 noon for that, but don't forget, stay right there because we've got Stars and Strikes doubles coming up in a couple of minutes. For Dan Murphy and the whole TV50 Sports crew, Doug Brown, so long from Park Place Lanes.